Hello everyone, my name is Ronald Care, and today we're going to do another versus video. Even though I haven't done one in a long time, I apologize. I really should be doing more of these, but I've been preoccupied with other things. Now, for those who don't know how my versus videos work, it's basically I put together the original film against its remake or reboot version and see which one is better, the original or the new version. And today we're going to take a look at two films that both have something in common. Two psychotic antagonists that cannot be seen. So, we're going to be focusing on The Hollow Man 2000 and The Invisible Man 2020. Both films based off the 1897 novel The Invisible Man, which was written by H.G. Wells. You may remember him from his past works, which were later adapted into the big screen, such as The Island of Dr. Moreau, The War of the World, The First Man on the Moon, and The Time Machine. And The Hollow Man was distributed by Sony Pictures, while The Invisible Man was distributed by the Universal Studios. Both films 20 years apart from each other, both with different directors, both doing fantastic job with their past films, and both films with different budget and results. Hollow Man had a budget of $95 million, making back over $190 million. Unfortunately, did very poorly with the critics, but did get some compliments for its special effects, so that was good. While The Invisible Man had a budget of $7 million and made back over $130 million, while also gaining a lot more positive reviews than its counterpart. But with that all the way, let's focus on which one did a better job with its story, its characters, its suspense, its ending, you name it. So let's focus first on the story with The Hollow Man, which focuses on our main team of scientists who are trying to create a formula that will turn someone invisible, and then a formula that will turn them back to being visible. They're successful with their tests on animals, and they want to move on to human trials. And our main antagonist, Sebastian, decides to not tell their bosses about the results and wants to test it on himself so that he can brag that once they get the formula to turn him back to being visible, he'll be able to get all the praises he wants. Unfortunately, due to trials and errors, this ends up taking a little longer than expected. He slowly slips into madness and becomes our invisible murderer. While with The Invisible Man, it focuses on our main character, Cecilia, who's been in an abusive relationship with her boyfriend, and she ends up escaping and finds out he took his own life and thinks, okay, that's it, he's done, and I'll be able to move on with my life. But then things starts to happen around her home, starts to happen in her life, and feels like someone's there and believes that her ex somehow is not only still alive, but is tormenting her being invisible. So she has to find a way to stop it and prove she isn't crazy before he ends up hurting those she loves. Alright, so both stories, I feel, did a great job from the beginning, middle, and how well it's paced, how the first act, second act, third act all went. But I feel like The Invisible Man did a much better job with its storytelling, how it doesn't rush right away to show us the Invisible Man. It builds up that suspense, keeps the audience on the edge of their seat, because we know there's someone there. We know that our main antagonist is there. And we see our main protagonist trying to prove everyone she isn't crazy, that she knows that her ex is there, that she's tormenting her, and is going to do everything she can to keep her loved one safe, and it's pushed to her limit to the point that she's going to fight back. Hollow Man, I love its story, how well it shows that our main antagonist doesn't start off that way. Sebastian doesn't start off as the villain. He slowly is driven to become the villain as time begins passing on and with everything else that happens to him. So we see him slowly becoming that monster, and I do like how well they're able to tell that story, but I like The Invisible Man a little bit more because we don't actually get to see our invisible killer until later on, and they're playing mind games with the audience. So I like how well it's able to tell its story, especially all the way to the end, which I felt like was a great ending. And yeah, I pretty much enjoyed it, so I had no problem with this story, and I think it pretty much wins this round. So sorry, Hollow Man, but Invisible Man wins this round. So let's see how well the characters did, shall we? So they both have an amazing cast. I love the performance from everybody. I love how everyone did in their role. With The Hollow Man, we have Kevin Bacon as our main villain, and we have Elizabeth Shue as our main character, who is pretty much going to go up against him and kick his ass. While with The Invisible Man, we have Elizabeth Moss playing as our main character, and Oliver Jackson Cohen as our main villain, Adrian Griffin, who was actually the original Invisible Man in the novel and in the original film. But in this version, they changed him up a little bit. And I actually do like this version. But before I get to him, let me talk about the two actresses as our main characters. I felt like Moss did a much better job with her role, who goes from being the victim to becoming this fighter, fighting back against her abusive ex and trying to stop him from hurting those she loved. She did a decent job with her role. I had no problem with her, but I felt like her character wasn't as developed as Moss's character. As far as our two villains, I love both of them. I love they did an excellent job with their role. I love this version of Adrian where, he's intelligent, he's manipulative, he knows how to break his victims and knows how to get away with it. Kevin Bacon as our main villain, I love him so much. He's a narcissist. He's an egomaniac. He's cruel. He's sadistic. He's an a-hole. He makes cruel jokes that, he plays them off, it's just being harmless jokes. However, when he becomes visible, his friends don't know if he's really serious because they can't tell his facial expression. And we see him slowly slipping into madness, becoming incredibly jealous of his ex-girlfriend dating someone else. He hates that, he's being treated like a lab rat, and eventually snaps, becoming more dangerous and killing off his colleagues in a horrifying way. So I gotta say, I like this version of the Invisible Man a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I love Adrian in this version of the Invisible Man, but I'm gonna have to give it more to the Hollow Man one, because I liked him. I like Kevin Bacon in this role, and I like the other characters in this role as well, because we get to have a little bit more time with them, get to know them a little bit more, and you kind of want them to survive, and even though many of them are not going to. Now, don't get me wrong, the Invisible Man has a great cast, a lot of great characters, but and of course a much better female lead, but I'm gonna give it to the Hollow Man, mostly because Kevin Bacon. Let's be honest, he's friggin' awesome in this movie. All right, well, I guess it's all down to the special effects, the suspense, the music. How is all that? Well, I'll give both films credit. They did a great job with how their version of the Invisible Man looks like with the special effects. I really like that. I like the way they did it. With Hollow Man, they used a formula to turn Sebastian invisible, and what I love about this is we get to see the process from his skin disappearing to his muscles, his organs, his veins, skeleton, until it's all gone, while also showing how painful it is. It's not like he just drinks a formula and he just slowly becomes invisible. No, they inject it in him, and it's transforming him from being visible to being invisible, and I love how well they did that, and the way that they also had the latex over him to give his expression and see him, being there. Also did a great job with that too. I thought for the time period it was actually pretty cool. But I like the Invisible Man a little bit better because in this one they didn't use a formula to make him invisible. They actually did something that I felt would be more believable and would be possible. And I also love how suspenseful that film was. I mean, the suspenseful part with Hollow Man, it doesn't happen until to the third act, so it takes its time. It does build up towards it, but the Invisible Man throughout the film, all suspenseful, because you're sitting there just watching everything that's going on to our main character, and you want to show that she's not crazy, but at the same time there's nothing you can do because you're watching it on the big screen and you see what she's going through. And I love the fact in this film we also have the music playing, and when it stops at the right time, and then when it plays again to suspenseful moments, they did a great job with that. Both films did not rely on jump scares. Both films did not rely on that, which I'm glad for, but I felt Invisible Man had a much better suspense. It kept you on the edge of your seat and was able to keep you frightened of where this guy could be at. So I guess I'm going to have to give this with Invisible Man, because I love how well they did with, keeping you on the edge of your seat. I love our main character. I love its story. And yeah, I mean, if it had Kevin Bacon, I would have been happy for it. But I'm going to give this to The Invisible Man. I felt like this film did a better job with story, suspense, special effects, its characters. Hollow Man, I still love it. It has a good story, has a great cast, has a pretty awesome special effects when we see the transformation, but it isn't as suspenseful as I remember it, and I liked how Hollow Man, for the time period, it was a great adaptation to the original, but The Invisible Man blew it out of the water. Did a great job with it. So Yeah, if you guys have a different opinion about both films or which ones you guys feel was the better Invisible Man based movie, leave some comments below. Let me know what you think. Hit the subscribe button, check out my face page, check out my shirt page. Um, you can find me on JFS the Reviewer, and I want to thank T3 Medias for the support and also for allowing my video on the channel as well. I appreciate it, and check out more of their content and check out more of my content as well. Subscribe to our channels, keep up to date with our videos. Now, see you next time to give you more love and more entertainment. Till then, take care, be safe, love y'all, and goodbye.